but then I started writing for various outlets, and I wrote something that was kind of controversial. It was about a local issue, a local political issue, not necessarily a partisan political issue, but very, very controversial locally. And the president called me in. I was a dean at the time, and he said, Rob, you can't say this sort of thing if you're a dean. And I thought to myself, that's fair. You're right. I represent the university. But the other thing I thought was, well, maybe I don't want to be a dean anymore then. Mm-hmm. Maybe I would rather be able to say these kinds of things when I want to and not have to worry about it. So right. It took me a few years to figure out an exit strategy, but that was kind of where it started. I'm very fortunate to work in a red state of Georgia. People think Georgia is a purple state because we have 2 Democrat senators. I personally think that was kind of a fluke. Mm-hmm. We've had a long string of Republican governors. Our state legislature is tilted, about 60-40 Republican. The current chancellor of our university system is a former Republican government, Sonny Perdue. So, and to be completely fair, Georgia State, I get all the emails about, the DEI stuff. And of course, we're already one of the most diverse universities in the country. And when I see an email about, pushing DEI, I'm like, so, what are you planning to do? Go up to Pickens County and try to recruit some white students? I mean, what does DEI even mean at Georgia State? But they don't push it. I haven't been required to attend any, they offer some, webinars and stuff, but we're not required to attend. Our president seems to be a very progressive guy, and I don't mean progressive with a capital P. I mean very forward-looking. Seems to really have the best interests of the university at heart. Last spring, during graduation, and I confess I wasn't there; I was out of town. But apparently, a student, who was graduating, grabbed the microphone and started shouting pro-Palestinian propaganda, and they escorted her from the building. And then the president put out an email saying, look, I respect all of your opinions, but you can't do that at graduation. And I thought, you know what? Good for you, man. Good for you. So people ask me this all the time when they see the things that I write for Brownstone or for campus reform or minding the campus or town hall. They're like, man, how can you get away with saying that stuff? And the honest to goodness truth is I've never really had any issues except for 2, the one I mentioned where the president called me in and said, you can't say that. But he didn't punish me. He just said, you got to be careful. A few years after that, a different president actually tried to get rid of me, tried to fire me. He and a small group of other administrators and faculty, because I had written something. Again, it wasn't particularly political, certainly not partisan politics, but I had written something for the Chronicle of Higher Education that they perceived as being critical of online education. And at the time, the president was really, really pushing our online program and trying to grow it. And, the funny thing, the irony is it wasn't really critical. It just, it said, hey, online has a tremendous upside, but it's failing too many students. And we need to re-examine this. Maybe it's because we're letting students take online classes who have no business taking online classes because it requires a greater degree of self-discipline than on-campus classes. So for some students, they're great. And frankly, some courses translate better online than others. But instead of having this approach where we just do everything online and try to push as many students as possible, maybe we should take a step back and be a little bit more measured in our approach. But boy, it pissed off the president at the time, and he came after me with a vengeance and spent 2 years trying to get rid of me. He couldn't because I had tenure and I hadn't actually done anything wrong. But he was able to make my life fairly miserable for a couple of years.
That's interesting.
And then he ended up getting fired for some other things, but
Mhm.
and I'm still here.
If you like this video, check out the full interview. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you get notified every time a new video is uploaded. Thanks for watching.